You guys, we're back. We're here with Mr. USA himself, Tony Atlas. Tony, we just want to say thank you for coming up on the show, DTW. Appreciate you visiting Monroe, Michigan. A couple questions we just have. First, who was your favorite opponent in the ring?
A lot of people always ask me that question. It's kind of hard to say my favorite because I have so many guys that I enjoy wrestling over the years. But I would say my all-time best, not just for me, but for any wrestler. As you got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, he brags about this guy all the time. This guy was also the trainer of CM Punk, and he was probably the one during my day. Was one of the most respected wrestlers of this business. His name was Harley Race. Harley Race was a guy that I really, really enjoyed working with. I also got a great deal of enjoyment out of work with Abdullah the Butcher because Harley Race was more of a scientific wrestler. Mm-hmm. You know, you could wrestle Harley Race. Most of his matches went anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour because back in the day, a world championship match, the least amount of time was 30 minutes. So when you got to ring with Harley Race, you know you're going to do at least 30 minutes in the ring.
Right.
Now, Abdullah the Butcher, the match didn't go as long, but it was total opposite of the spectrum. Abdullah and the guys like King Kong, Bruiser, Brody, these were more like brawlers. So you have to fight for your life when you're in there with Brody. You have to fight for your life when you're in there with
Abdullah.
Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah.
But guys like Harley Race, I used to really, really enjoy work with Doyle. People don't talk about it much. Doyle Funk Jr.
Oh yeah.
Doyle Funk Jr. was a master, very technical type of wrestler, and then Bob Orton Jr. was also very easy to work with. Believe it or not, the hardest guy for anybody to work with back in the day was Ronnie Piper.
Why is that?
Well, you didn't fight Piper, you fought his ego.
Right, yeah.
I mean, Piper just was in there for Piper. Piper would just want to chew you up. Piper would do anything to get Piper over with the fans.
Over, right.
And so whatever you got for Piper, you really, really have to make Piper do what you want him to do. But in real life, you couldn't meet a nicer person than Ronnie Piper. A very good family man, loved his family a great deal. And Piper would put a lot into a match. Whereas with me, they said, Tony, you're going to wrestle Harley Race tonight. I said, okay, and I leave it at that. You tell Piper, you're going to wrestle Harley Race tonight. Piper would go off in the corner, get a pen and paper, and he would go over and over and over how he's going to do this match.
Step by step, right.
Yeah, step by step. Piper was not the type of person that would just go into things
right.
Blandly.
You got to tell a story.
He have to tell a story. But that was what led to his success, and also what led to wrestling today.
Correct. So going off of that, let's talk about, what does it mean to be one half of the first black WWF Tag Team Champions, with Rocky Johnson?
Well, an honor. I remember when me and Rocky first won the title, we went back in the back and we kind of looked at each other and said, Rocky looked at me, because Rocky was in the business a lot longer than me. And Rocky Johnson, people say we were the first African-American champion. No. I'm the first African-American champion because Rocky is Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Canadian. He's not American. He's from Canada, Halifax, Canada, that area up through there. So when we won the title, Rocky said he thought that would never, ever happen in pro wrestling. And in fact, Vince got a lot of flack for that too.
Really?
Well, back in the day, we just we only been out of what they call segregation for 10 years. So the world was not, in the wrestling world, was not used to seeing that.
It wasn't accepted
It was not accepted. Then Bill Watts got in a lot of trouble when he put the world belt on Ron Summer.
Farouk.
They used to have what they call the NWA, and they kicked Bill Watts out of the NWA. Bill Watts not only had the first black world champion, Bill Watts also had the first black booker, was a guy they called Ernie the Cat Ladd.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so he got in trouble with the NWA for because he felt that the world was not ready for a black champion. So McMahon and Bill Watts, they both kind of broke that barrier. And Vince just recently broke the barrier again, not too long ago. We had the first women main event in WrestleMania.
Right.
So that's another barrier. And they got a woman division in wrestling now, which had never existed. I've been in this business since the mid-'70s, and I would never think that women would get the opportunity in wrestling that
They're outshining the men now. You know, they're putting on fantastic matches.
Where they're more hungry.
Right.
They got that hunger about them, because this is the first time that they had an opportunity to show the world what they could do.
Exactly.
So they put a lot more intestinal fortitude and put a lot more into it and work a lot harder. See, like for example, it's always been hard for women in wrestling. They had to look a certain way.
Right.
Like, if I was a woman, I wouldn't get booked. If Mark Henry was a woman, he wouldn't get booked. If George the Animal Steel was a woman, he'd never. Can you imagine having a woman look like George the Animal Steel?
No, I don't want to see that. We saw something similar with Luna Vachon, a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Can you imagine
Very
George
close.
the Animal Steel?
Right.
Yeah, you can't. But men's in wrestling, it was a business for big, mean, ugly, tough guys. So the meaner you was, the tougher you was, the uglier you was, the more they wanted you.
Right.
And what changed, we used to call Ric Flair a pretty boy.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was nice looking.
Yeah.
Tommy Rich, pretty boy. Because we was not used to seeing a good looking wrestler.
The nature boy.
A nature boy.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was the first nice looking wrestler we have. When you look at guys like Ole Anderson, Tony
Superstar
Atlas,
Billy Graham, though.
Superstar Billy Graham, he was not a good looking guy. Not like Ric Flair, not like The Rock,
right.
Not like Shawn Michaels, and that's where the women started really coming. Really, Shawn Michaels was the guy that changed the whole look aspects of it, because he was the first what's called real
Heartbreak Kid.
Heartbreak Kid, yeah, the first nice looking wrestler. The rest of guys, you have to have that certain scary look about
Yeah, he was
you.
a pretty boy. He had the earrings, all that stuff.
He was a pretty boy.
So going off of that, you mentioned Mark Henry. What did it mean to manage him? Do you have any memorable moments with him?
Most people don't realize. The managing part was a gimmick. My job with Mark Henry, I was his trainer. So Vince wanted me to train Mark Henry, because Mark Henry was a weightlifter. So with weightlifters and powerlifters, they are unconcerned about their physical appearance. They're only concerned about how much weight they can lift. Where Vince wanted Mark Henry to get more of a slender look. Because he's right, because he told me, he said he was afraid that one day that Mark Henry would have a heart attack or stroke. Because Mark Henry, when he first went there, was 290 pounds. After Mark Henry was there for a while, he bulked up to 435 pounds. So Vince wanted him to get down in the threes.
Right.
And so my job was to travel with Mark Henry and take him to the gym and show him bodybuilding. He knew about weightlifting, but he didn't know how to bodybuild. How to shape the muscles and trim down the weights and get that certain look. And so Vince said he made me a manager just so I have a reason to be with Mark Henry. But the managing was just it was not my job. It was just a gimmick.
So was there other wrestlers that you trained off screen?
Yeah, well, most I would say the first wrestler, believe it or not, that I helped train was Kevin Sullivan.
Okay.
In bodybuilding.
Right.
I started entering these bodybuilding contests and it started making me a lot of money. So a lot of other wrestlers got into bodybuilding, like Ricky Steamboat. I trained got Ricky Steamboat into his first bodybuilding contest. The only guy that had ever competed in the bodybuilding contest before they met me was Jimmy Slooker. He was Mr. Hawaiian.
Okay,
yeah, he was a bodybuilder. So a lot of guys would go to the gym with me and started after Skip Young started training me, Kevin Sullivan, just about all the guys that got into weights later because they saw how it was helping me. When I first started, they didn't want guys to lift weight. They said, make you muscle bound, make you slow, you can't move, you can't do this, can't do that. But then they saw the attention that once I walked to the ring, how people respond to seeing a wrestler in shape.
Right.
It was kind of like a new, it was like new in the 70s. And most of your bodybuilders, what was so different about the guys that I helped train, they wasn't just muscle man, they could move. Now you watch Superstar Billy Graham, he never did a drop kick. He never did a head scissor. He never did an area move.
Right.
Where you watch old matches of Tony Atlas or Rocky Johnson or Jimmy Slooker, we were muscle men, but we was also wrestlers. You know,
Versatile.
We were versatile.
Right.
So we kind of, me and Rocky and guys like that, we kind of broke the trend of the old time. Like Ivan Puskett, you grab this arm, he throw it off, grab this arm, he throw it up.
Yeah.
But he never did any wrestling move.
Drop kicks or nothing like that.
None of that. You didn't see none of that.
Let's talk about the 2006 Hall of Fame induction ceremony, you know, with Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, Mean Gene, Sensational Sherry. What did it mean for you to be a part of that class?
Well, once again, it's I would say surprising.
Surprising, okay.
I was shocked when I got the call and they told me they want me to be in the Hall of Fame because there was a 14-year split.
Right. But you were breaking barriers. I mean, it's really what you were doing for the company too, you know. So
well, but it was a split between me and Vince, and it started way before Junior took over. There was, in the older days, a lot of people don't know this, but in the older days, the promoter didn't really have that much control over a wrestler. I talked to Abdul the Butcher, and I said, Abby, because I never liked losing. And, you know, because I was an amateur wrestler, I never lost. I was a bodybuilder, I never lost. In powerlifting, I never lost. I never lost nothing.
Right.
And I believe that if a person, the old timers used to believe, if you can't beat me in real life, I'm not going to let you do it in the ring. That's why a lot of guys would stretch you and make you look like crap if you can't protect yourself.
Yeah.
They would just beat the dog mess out of you, like Larry Dax said. Oh, they call it stretching, but really they would just beat you up so bad because they want to protect themselves. See, people used to ask this question: is wrestling fake? So what they was afraid of, that they put the belt on somebody, make somebody a champion. He go to the local bar and get beat up.
right.
Well, he's a champion means this is the very best I got. We have nobody better than this person.
Right.
So if this person loses in a street fight, then what end up happening is the fans will believe that all the wrestlers are no good. Because if your champion no good,
right,
and you under your champion, then where did that leave you? So a lot of guys, there were certain guys that I just would not. I had this belief that if I'm going to lose the match, I'm going to take 80%. That way I keep myself good. The old timer taught me, once you get over with the fans, there's nothing the promoter could do to you. And that's
true.
why Vince bought up the territory, because let us say if things don't go right for you with Vince,
Right.
then you would go to Vern, or you go to Georgia, or you go to Florida. They had territory. They had like 30 territory.
Yeah.
So you had 30 places. You are one of them territory. One of them going to treat you right.
Right.
So when Vince asked us to do something, like he want me to put over, you can see the match. You want me to put over Randy Savage. They were pushing the hell out of Randy Savage at the time. Well, I made Randy Savage look like he had no business in the ring with me. I mean, I just beat the hell out of him. I did a job,
Right.
But I beat him up first. I made him look like a piece of crap before
Right.
I did a job. There's a match of me and Paul Orndorff. I pressed Paul Orndorff with my head. I set him on the turnbuckle and patted him on the head.
You're like, all right, you stay there for a minute.
No. I patted him on the head. So I would, if I was going to lose, I would make my opponent look like a piece of nothing.
Right.
And then I would lay down for him. I did it with Adrian O'Donnell. That when Vince fired me, and when I did it to Adrian O'Donnell, you know. But the old timers would do that.
Yeah.
If you can't defend yourself. So when Vince came along, he fixed it so that he bought the territory. So when a wrestler screw up or something, he had no place to go but home. That's how he got all the wrestlers to complain. Can you imagine Vince coming up to Andre the Giant and ask Andre the Giant to lay down for Stone Cold Steve Austin doing a stunner?
I'm not gonna do that.
Andre would have threw.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, boss. Andre can't do that. Andre would have threw Steve Austin from here into the next town, but he got what's my Jay did it.
Hogan.
Big Show.
Oh, Big Show. Oh, yeah,
he did it.
Yeah. But times are different, though. You know.
Right. But no, Big Show got nowhere to go.
That too.
So Vince bought up all the territory.
Yeah, exactly.
So that left. But Andre had places to go. He could go to Japan. He could go to Mid-Atlantic. So if Vince wanted Andre to do something that was out of character for Andre just leave and go somewhere else.
Exactly.
But by Vince, when he bought up all the territory, that eliminated guys escape.
This way or the highway, pretty much.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Exactly. And that's why Vince was able to get more and more, the more and more control of the rest. But when I first started, we pretty much had controlled our own destiny. We had more control, not total control.
Right, more creative control, though.
More creative control. So if you were drawing money for Vince, no matter how big of a whatever you are, Vince still had to put up with you.
Right.
Like Bruno Sammartino, he could not really tell Bruno what to do. Bruno would say, I go to Mid-Atlantic. And he knew how much money that Bruno Sammartino could draw him, so he didn't want Mid-Atlantic making the money, because then he had to build another Bruno Sammartino.
Exactly.
And that take about 3 years to build a wrestler.
Yeah.
It took a good 3 years.
It's going to be, so let's talk about watching wrestling today and today's product. Do you watch wrestling today?
There's no more wrestling. Vince told you that.
Okay.
Vince said the reason.
Can't say wrestling, sorry.
Vince said the reason that Ted Turner lost because Ted Turner is in the wrestling business.
He's in the entertainment business.
He's in the entertainment business. How can you throw punches, drop kick, and do high spot and never put a wrestling hold on nobody and call it wrestling?
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment now. Wrestling died in after Hulk Hogan. That was the end of wrestling. Everything after the Hogan era. So Hulk Hogan was the last. I would say Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, Bret Hart. I mean,
Bret Hart was the last
technical wrestler too.
We're the last of the wrestling.
Right.
Nobody wrestles no more.
Right.
See, my job was to make the people believe that what I did was for real. So what we would do, we had a 15-minute match where he could tell you the first 7 minutes was half shoot. Then once we got the people involved, then we relax and then we work. But at the beginning, guys would halfway shoot with you.
Right.
Like Gene Anderson would get you down on the mat and rub your nose in the mat. And kid, let me see you get out of this hole. You know?
Yeah, get them involved. Make them think that it's real.
So they did the real stuff first.
Yeah.
After you do the real move, then people started believing that what you're doing is real.
Right.
Like when you get outside the ring, the guy said, lay it in, kid. Lay it in. Lay it in is a term say, hit me for real.
Right.
Do it for real. But then as time went on and Vince got more and more control of the wrestlers, then he didn't want, Vince do not want it to look real.
Right.
He do everything in his power so people don't get that.
He don't want them hurt. He don't want them injured.
Hurt. He don't want to make it look like a sport no more because his main job was to get rid of the commissioners. With wrestling, there's a certain rule that you go by. Like in the world of wrestling, you can't get licensed in New York after you're 45 or something. Because the wrestling commission was the same as the boxing commission. So you got a lot of wrestlers like The Undertaker. The Undertaker couldn't wrestle in the older days in New York.
Why is that?
He couldn't get licensed. You had to be a certain age.
A lot of politics. A lot of politics.
Well, yeah, but they had a lot of. You have to have a license. You have to have an EKG every year. You have to have a physical every year. And to wrestle in New York, you have to have. It was the wrestling boxing athletic commission.
Right.
They had an athletic commission that evolved in sport.
You think that's why he went public with the company?
Yeah, well, that's why he turned into entertainment to get away from the bureaucracy. Because there's a lot of things that I feel sorry right now, not to get off subject. I hear it. I don't know how true it is. You probably know more about it than that Vince just sold the company to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's false.
That's false?
Yeah.
Well, I got to say because that would eliminate the women division.
Oh, 100%.
Women cannot wrestle. The Saudi Arabia, that's done.
They're not going to take that away. They're not. The Saudis aren't taking that.
Yeah, but if they did, the women could forget about it.
Right.
Because they could, especially the way they dress.
I mean, yeah. They got rules and regulations over there. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, if they wrestle, they're going to have to cover the hair and long.
They got to cover it all up.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff you're not going to be able to do because of the
rules and regulations and all that.
So that would put wrestling in a worse position than what it was when they had the athletic commission. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's not going to happen.
No.
I just want to wrap it up real quick. We really appreciate you coming on the show. This is Mr. USA. This is Tony Atlas himself. You're watching Dudes Talking Wrestling. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Sway low, sweet chariot.
Cut.
Yeah.